Email can become an incredibly productive tool, or it can be the bane of your life. You can actually find it extremely taxing, and you spend more time before work hours and after work thinking that you're working by responding to emails, creating emails, sending emails. But the truth is you're actually just creating busy work. And the reality is none of that is strategic or anything related to execution tasks that need to be done. Start thinking intentionally about the way you design your days, and your email life will change forever. I want to deliver to you a mind shift as it relates to your email activity. And here's the key thing. Your email account and everything inside of it is a repository, a superbly grand repository of other people's agendas. Once you understand this, you'll start to see your email in a very different way, and you'll also dramatically reduce the amount of email that you're receiving and sending. You see, if you go in your email today, you're going to see 80 to 90% of everything that you receive that's meant for you and not meant for you, it's unsolicited, is actually not your agenda. It's not got anything to do with the strategic intent of the business that you work for, and it actually isn't on your list of execution tasks. You're just having conversations in a mode that was actually designed for confirmation. Email is a good way to follow up on activity. It's not a really good way to have a conversation. Now, you might be thinking now that your Slack channel is a really good way of operating instead, or your Discord channel, and that's making you more productive. But I would argue it's just another repository for other people's agendas. I'm going to explain to you exactly why. So let's test this. Go into your email account. You can pause the video now, go into your email account, and you'll see in there that most of the things that are in your email account are untouched, unopened, and that's because they got nothing to do with you. They really are just a distraction and drama from the aspiration, the ambition, and the connection you need to have to do a good job for the company that you work for. Now, this applies to you whether you're an employee or an entrepreneur. There's so much distraction in our daily lives, but if we see email as a very different model, a very different production tool, we're never going to be wasting too much time in there. In fact, when we go there, we're going to spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes on each working session and just identify that most of the things that we do there are really unproductive. The biggest problem with email is that if you are working in your email in the early morning and you keep it open all day, there's a huge impact on you personally and other people too. One is you're going to keep getting notifications and email coming into you, and you're going to be looking at those emails, and every single distraction takes you out of your intense focus on what you need to be doing. Now, you could argue and convince me that that's not happening for you, but I'm telling you, this is exactly how your brain works. Your brain keeps score. So when it sees those notifications, it cannot relax until it's actually taking a look at what it is to close the loop. But if you've got email closed and you're not even in there, then it's a really good way for you to keep in your lane and focus on the activities that you need to be doing. And that leads me to the impact that you're having and the people around you. Every time they're sending email into you, that's creating an impact on you. Every time you're sending an email to them, that's creating an impact on them. So you are distracted, they are distracted, and it's like a vicious cycle where people are just getting less work done day after day after day because they're attached to their email or their Slack or any other communication channel that your company is using. My biggest bug with email is that it impacts on your prime time, your magic time, the time when you should be working or must be working on the key activities that are going to move your career forward. If you want to advance your career, it's not spending more time in email. I would advise you to be thinking about, if you're a director level associate, I would think about 10 emails would be a good level. If you're a VP and above, we would be thinking about 5 emails outbound every single day. These are really good metrics for you to follow. So you're eliminating all of the noise, the 80% of stuff that you do that just creates a minuscule amount of actually productive work. I want you to focus on doing 20% of the email traffic, and then you'll get more out of this. You'll be sending high quality emails to only the people that matter on the strategic executional items of the company and the things that are imperative for you right now. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is freaking you out. You're being freaked out by this philosophy that sending more than 5 emails a day is just not possible in my job. James, you just don't understand. I do understand, because if I had a video and I videoed you all day, I could prove that more than 5 emails is reducing your productivity. And I want you to focus on your magic time and your prime time, as I said. What is that prime time magic time? Well, this is the bit of the day, the part of the day for you where you are at your absolute peak energy, peak state, highest performing self. And it normally occurs for those people who work daylight hours in the morning. And it kind of looks like 8 a.m. till 11 a.m. So if you're in email in those hours, you're not maximizing your prime time, magic time output, which meaning your productivity is already depressed. Now you might argue, well, when I send emails, that's going out good, right? It's making things move. Yes, but you're not working on the project work. You're not actually doing the work. You're talking about the work. So the work isn't actually moving. It's not getting done. And so I'm going to give you a model in a minute about how you navigate this so you don't have to worry about impacting your prime time. Now that prime time can move depending on who you are as an individual. There are people actually who have prime time in the afternoon, but it's a very small percentage. Most people are at their best in the morning. And I want you to think about, maybe you're a 7 to 10 person, maybe you're a 10 till noon person, but you've already set the high peak times of performance for you. This is where you need to block off time. And that should only be projects for you. And if you're doing anything other than projects, and I'm talking about elimination of meetings and elimination of email sessions, then you can focus on making a greater leap in your career, because you're working on the best things for you. You're working on the best things for people around you. You're working on the best things for the company. But being an email is going to reduce that, and your performance is going to take a big dip. Okay, so what does the method look like? Well, I want you to start with a pen and paper. Take a note of these things. Firstly, I don't want you to open email in the morning. In fact, it shouldn't even be on your agenda that the first thing you're doing is opening email or a Slack channel or a Discord group because you think there's something in there that's more important than your projects. There really isn't. The first thing I want you to do with your method every day is just set out your 1 to 3 work intentions for the entire day, not have a to-do list. I actually want you to forget the to-do list. Just focus on the 3 biggest action items for your day and then schedule that in your prime time, magic time. The 2 or 3 hours in the day when you know I'm at my best, and I want that to be focused time. So you want to avoid drama, avoid distractions, and get your work done. Outside of that, we can talk about the method for opening your email. Okay, so now we've set our intentions. One of the things that we're going to do is open our email. But before we open the email, we're going to go through 2 very important questions. You're actually going to take a pen and paper every day and write down these 2 questions. The first question is this: who am I waiting on? You're going to sit and think with a pen and paper. Who am I waiting on? Who owes me a deliverable? Who owes me information? How can I progress if I don't have that information? And you write down, hey, I'm waiting on John. I'm waiting on Jackie. I'm waiting on Jennifer. And now you have a sense of what you're expecting to see in your email because they've committed to you. I'm going to get this to you. The information's coming. And this gives you one area of focus for when you do open your email. Now, we're still not going to open the email yet. We're going to have that thought. Who am I waiting on? We're going to flip the script and focus on others and think about how we can serve others the best. So then the second question is, who's waiting on me? Who is waiting for me to send them some information, to share a document, to communicate something, to confirm? I would prefer you don't use email for communication. To confirm something that you've already talked about, perhaps in an afternoon meeting that you've already had, or something that happened late afternoon the day before, or maybe a week before. But I want you to make a list of those people. Now, we know that John, Jackie, and Jenny, you're expecting things from them. So let's think about, Mike, Marta, and Matt. They're waiting on us. So I want you to make that list. These are the people waiting on me. And this is where you get to your 5 or 10 productive emails a day, by only knowing who are the people who are waiting on you. So I don't want you to open your email at all until you know the answers to these 2 questions. And here's why: because when you open it up, other people's agendas are flashing at you. There is a ton of distraction. You can go into Slack. There are unread messages. You could be in LinkedIn messaging for all I know. I don't know what the tools and services are that you're using, but I do know that every message gets read. So you want to make sure that before you go there, you know who's waiting on you and who are you waiting on. So you're going to make those lists. Then you're going to open up your email. And I want you to really think about, how can I start to dramatically reduce the amount of time that I spend in my email account? And you can do that by doing these two activities. And it's a daily event. You already wrote down your daily intentions. And I guarantee one of the things on your daily intentions wasn't stay in my email all day, leave my email open all day, reply to emails all day, receive emails all day, and read them all day. I'm sure that was not in your intention, because you've got more important work to do. So I want you to be thinking about that. This is how it's going to transform your day and your productivity around email specifically. Okay, so we get to the fun part. You actually get to open your email. And I want you to have in front of you your list of who you're waiting on and who's waiting on you. You're going to take a look at those names, and then you're going to look at the screen, and you're going to find those people, but you're not going to look at anything else. You're going to laser in high productivity state and know these are the people for me to be high productive in what I need to do today, that I need to communicate with, confirm with. I don't really want you to have that conversation. Like I say, I want you to just be confirming something. Now, you may not always need to reply to those people that you're waiting on because they've given you what you needed. If you have to say thank you, don't do it yet. There's a reason why I don't want you to do it, because you've got those prime time, magic time hours. And this email session could be happening before that. So you're prepared for your prime time. Then I want you to go through who you need to send to. And there's a good chance you may need to share a document. You may need to send a meeting invite to somebody. You may need to confirm a time with a client. There are lots of things that you're going to need to be doing. And you're going to go and take a look at those people that are waiting on you. And you're going to send them the messages that you've already promised them and do that. All of this shouldn't take you more than 15 or 20 minutes, but I would love for you to get it down to 15. Can you do your first email session in 15 minutes? That would be a really powerful way for you to kick off the day, set your sail in the right direction for your prime time, your magic time, to be uber productive. Okay, some of you are still freaking out. You just can't believe that it's possible to go through a work day when you're receiving 100 emails and be able to sift through those in 10 or 15 minutes. Well, I can assure you it's because you haven't done the audit yet. Before you even kind of start thinking about migrating to the place where you can just do 2 email sessions a day and being uber productive in that, you do need to do an email audit. So you need to take a look at, is James right? I know I'm right, because if I was sat next to you, every time I do this exercise, we eliminate somewhere between 60 and 80% of every single message that comes in as not relevant to the mission. It is a other people's agenda, a repository for all this information. So what I'd like you to do is to be thinking about, how can I minimize that time? So how do you do it? Email audit. Do an audit of all the things that currently come in, and then start to go through a process of, I don't need to reply to this anymore. And by the way, I don't believe in email inbox zero. I think that's an absolute waste of time. And I see people talk out on the internet that that's really important, that you can have a system for inbox zero. Inbox zero is a really bad waste of time. So, because you're going into things that are not on your agenda. You click it, move it to a folder. You can set up all the rules all you want, but just setting that in process is a real issue. You know, if I take a look at my Gmail account now, there's something like 30,000 emails in there unread. I don't mind. They're not my agenda. In the end, Google might say your inbox is full, and Yahoo might say my inbox is full, and my vendor may say your inbox is full. You've got to do something about it, but it's going to be easy. Select all unread, select all, delete. I'm not going to need any of that information. I never read it. It's not my agenda, and I don't need it to be successful, because I'm working on my magic time. I've reduced my wasted productivity, because I'm only sending and receiving things of most importance to me. This is crucial stuff. Okay, now I am going to allow you for a second email visit. And that second email visit typically takes place in the afternoons. In the afternoons is a place where we can be creatively thinking about what needs to happen next. And you can spend a little bit more longer time here. You could be looking at emails maybe that are adjacent to things you need to know, that were meeting confirmations, meeting notes, notes from clients. They could be different things. So as they come in, it's okay to take a look at those, because you might need those in preparation for the following day's intention, or for the week. You may be going to a live event, an exhibition, a conference, so you may need to prepare for those things. But this email session, I still want you to keep it pretty much under 45 minutes. But if you can get it down to 30, we're now only an email less than an hour every day, but we're doing everything we need to so we can be maximum productivity in our morning window, where we're typically at our best. In the afternoons, I recommend that's when you do creative work and collaboration and have meetings. And that would be a really powerful shift for you to get more juice out of your day. There's one more thing I want to bring up with you. Do you really have a need to look at your email before noon? A lot of people think they do, but in every single client interaction I have, I've never been able to find a client who can justify to me with any real meaning or proof points of why that would be the case. Because if you're operating on a high productivity level and you're doing this email, I'm only going to speak with people who are actually critical to my intention and my high productivity, then you probably don't even need to be here early in the morning. Now, I don't mind you doing that if it helps you set up your intentions. But I think you're going to get an awful lot more value is if you do your high productivity morning and then you go and take a look at email and then spend some time thinking about how you can be high productive in the afternoon. We've got to go to some meetings, got to have some conversations, but at the back end of the day, then you can go back into email for your second time, let's say 12 o'clock, and then maybe 4 o'clock. You can have your 2 sessions. You just didn't waste time in email all day. Now you may be asking, where did all this come from? Well, one of the things that I've noticed is that people love sending email out of hours. And that's because they'll tell you they're highly productive between, let's say, the classic 9 to 5. They're in meetings, they're talking, water cooler chat, having lunch, meeting people for lunch, talking to clients. And, there's a lot of administrative work that goes on. There's operational activities. There are other audiences that you need to attend to. And there's other things that are going on with your teams. So they claim that they're really busy in that time. But the truth is that there's a low productivity waste there too. Lots of leakage with task switching. So you have an hour, because you have a meeting and a distraction, a meeting and a distraction, a meeting and a distraction throughout the day. And that's just taking you away from being high productivity. So what happens is people email out of hours. So you can be somebody who comes into the office at 8 to 9 a.m. and you are flooded with emails that arrived that day, meaning people woke up in their bed and they picked their phone up and they started sending you emails. And this is a really good example of low productivity, super low performance, and why people get stuck, trapped, frustrated with their work. And it's because they've not got a system in place that allows them to be high productive. They're following the sheep of the organization who are doing this low productivity output. And it creates all that internal frustration you experience inside the office. Now, the other group of people, and sometimes it's the same group, are also sending emails beyond 6, 7 p.m. at night. So those people, they finish their day at 5, 5:30, 6. People are looking at me going, what are you talking about? I don't finish till 7. Yeah, I get that. But you have your family dinner and the kids go to bed and then you're back on email while the show's on TV. You're two screening it, right? You got your laptop on. You're even sat in the dining room table and you're sending emails. This is low productivity. You are causing the problem. You are putting other people's agendas at the forefront of what goes on inside the organization. And we could eliminate all of this if you just use email for confirmation rather than communication, things that could be handled by quick phone calls, maybe some text messaging. Before you didn't do that, quick phone calls, and also face-to-face interaction. They're also going to say to me now that we're remote and we're all over the place, so we have to use electronic productivity tools. Yes, but you still have a telephone. You still have video conferencing. And there'll be an argument for you and a result, I call it heartfelt justifications, excuses for why you won't do this. But there's always more productivity through a video conversation, a telephone call, or a face-to-face interaction than there'll ever be from an electronic interaction. And you know this because you're the person who's got these floods of Slack messaging and all that's happening before 9 a.m. before you've even sat down. You got your coffee, you sit down and what's going on? Why are there so many messages here? Don't even look at it, because remember, you're in prime time. And for you to be a successful executive and take yourself to the next level, and I had to learn this. Hey, by the way, I wasn't very good at this either. I had to learn this. I had to get to the skill level of knowing email's not for me. It's for other people's agendas. And when I learned that skill and I became fierce about not going in there and not taking a look at all those emails and only focusing on who's waiting for me and who am I waiting on, just transformative of what you can do. Then the next thing is to make sure your calendar doesn't look like task switching, like 1 hour meeting, 1 hour meeting, 1 hour meeting. Hey, look, I got friends who are CEOs and they are telling me they are in back-to-back video conference calls all day. That's not the example of a great CEO. A great CEO has thinking time and has block time. So it's okay for them maybe to have a block of 2 calls. But I would recommend you minimize that to have a call, take a 20, 30-minute break, do some breathing, stand up, walk around, go outside if you can, then do another call. But that would be the maximum block. Because by the time you get to the third call, if those topics are all different, your brain is exhausted. Your brain is dead. It can't keep up. And so this is why we have slumps in the afternoon. It's because our brain dead. Well, there are other reasons for slumps in the afternoon. Maybe you're drinking your coffee straight out of bed. That's another reason why you may have. Maybe your hydration's off. Maybe you don't exercise. There are tons of other reasons. But this is about email. So for email, I really want you to kind of pay attention to the information I've shared with you today. It simply is, you're wasting time. Send less than 10 emails a day, especially if you're VP and above. And they're the people I'm talking to right now. If you're director and above, yeah, maybe you can send a few more, but you'll notice the more email you send, the more's coming back. And it was very consistent for my senior managers and directors who work for me to tell me they would get 100 to 300 emails in a day. Then I would ask them, how many have you sent? And then we would go and do an audit and find that they may have sent 50 or 60 emails out themselves. The metric kind of works like that. You send one email, expect 2 to 3 back. Yeah. So stop sending email if you don't want a big email. You stop sending Slack messages if you don't want tons of Slack messages. These are key lessons. So it's a big time waste. It's a big operational time suck for you. It takes you away from career advancement. This is why I'm sharing this message with you. It's so vital you understand that your projects are your daily intentions. What strategy am I working on today for this company? How am I making a difference? And you need to do that in 3 ways. Am I generating money for this company? Am I saving money for this company? Or am I increasing the efficiency of how this company works? Am I making things better, making them simpler to do? So we are a lean, mean fighting machine. And if you're not doing one of those 3 things, then you're an email. And you're doing low productivity tasks, and you're sitting in meetings where sometimes you don't speak. So I should do a whole thing on meetings too. Meetings is a whole other area where we waste time, so much time, especially if we're not the owner of the meeting, if we're not prepared for the meeting, there's no agenda for the meeting. There are so many things with that. But just think about all those things that go on in your working life, and you realize we're just not performing at the top level here because we're wasting time sending emails to each other all day long. This is not a high productivity task. Okay, I hope this mini training helped you. I'm super excited to find out your results. Drop comments in below if this has been useful for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, if that video was useful, I want to thank you for watching, but I also want to let you know there's some more career tips and advice here that are going to get you advancing faster.